And I just wanted to share a story of what the whole purpose of why I put on this event, or why we put on this event, and how it all came to be. So in 2021, I had one of the most stressful times of my life that, well, it led to a lot of good things, but at the time, absolutely sucked. And on the surface, things looked pretty good. Like, I had, for context, I had, or still have, a garden maintenance company. And yes, you can recognize the garden. So I had a garden maintenance company. I still have that garden maintenance company, which runs a lot smoother now. And during that time, though, on the surface, as multiple yellow vans up and down the roads, I was constantly getting WhatsApps, messages of people where they'd see the vans out and about and be like, "Oh, you're over here, you're over here." I'm like, "No, I'm not. One of the team is somewhere." And a lot of what was behind that was systems and processes. So within the company, one thing I really worked out was how to draw people in. So I had the cash in the bank in the company to go and buy a van, buy all the tools. I could hire 2 people because I could just get people coming to the door to join the company, and their diary would be full of work within a couple of months, all because of systems and processes. The thing that I knew better than anything was just how to draw people in, and that relationship of how to build trust with them as they get to know and like your business. And that all came down because I was obsessed with learning, and I was just obsessed with the process of how I can look at the result I want. So that whole reverse engineering thing of like, what is my big goal? And I need to identify all the people I need to bring that to fruition. And I just broke it down. So that's the end goal. How do I break that into a journey? And then here's where I am today. So what I found was one of the biggest constraints was I was only one person. And then as I had a team, I thought, well, there's training the team. There's then trying to get more and more clients and trying to be in multiple places at once. And the thing that helped me overcome that issue was content. So I documented everything, every question any prospect asked, filmed, answered, article, video, reels, and used that in the sales process, in the marketing, every element I could. So what it meant was, by the time I'd meet someone to go and quote their garden, I started to get this theme come off of them saying, "When can you start?" I'm like, "Do you want the price?" And they're like, "Look, you've answered all of our questions, especially that video on how to prune roses. It was just phenomenal. You guys are clearly experts. When can you start? As long as your price isn't sky high, you're going to do our garden." And it was a similar thing with staff. And what I did as I was learning more and more, I thought, well, I know exactly what I want to achieve in years to come. Who can I look at that's got those accolades, that's been there, done that, got the scars of it? And what can I learn from them? So then that's where I started a podcast and just started reaching out to people to interview them and just learn how they did what they did. And then again, taught me more about making content and how to take a big recording, chop it up into multiple pieces of content, all in the aim of learning as much as I could about this vision I had, how to get there, and who I needed to bring it to fruition. So 2021, on the surface, all looks very exciting. All this content going out, people are seeing it, and I get a lot of compliments. Whereas what I was kind of experiencing on a day-to-day was just this like visceral stress and pain of trying to manage stuff. And all I was trying to do was give people a good career. And yet I seem to be shit at it. I alienated people so quickly. I think the shortest someone lasted at my company was like a day. And some lasted a week, a month. I mean, the advantage of that was because I had such a high churn rate, I had to systemize the business as much as possible. So we needed to be able to hire someone, and within a week, they knew the systems like the back of their hand. So the business became extremely systemized. But there was one particular day I remember. It was a Tuesday, and what had happened was on the Friday afternoon prior, one of my best guys had come in. He'd been on a new regular we had, and they had over an acre of land, and it was a blank canvas. And he came in, he was like, "Hayden, am I on that job every fortnight? I've got all these ideas. Here's what we're gonna just like rolling off all of these ideas of what we could do in that garden over the next 3, 4, 5 years." And I was like, "Whoa, you are now. I'll make sure every fortnight you're in that garden and you can go wild with them and come up with all kinds of ideas." That was Friday. Tuesday, can we sit in the office at the end of the day? Sits down, "I'm quitting." I was like, "What? You handed in your notice?" He's like, "No, I'm done. I'm gone. That's it." I was like, "What?" He literally walked out the door and that was it. He was gone. From Friday to Tuesday, he had broken up with his long-term girlfriend and was quitting his job with us. Went off and had a whole change. Admittedly, this was through COVID and people were having all kinds of revelations and epiphanies of what to do in life. But that was it. And I walked out of that office, and there was my office assistant and one of the other guys who, funny enough, had to quit a couple months later because he had a muscle issue, so couldn't work. And there was the two of them there, and I just laid on the floor, and I just wanted everything to be done. I just wanted it to be gone. I didn't want a business anymore. I didn't want anything. I don't know. I just didn't want it. I didn't even know what it was. I just didn't want any of it. And it came in quite handy though. But it was at that point though that a lot of things, although they were getting worse and they were going to get worse, some things got better. So I met Sean, who's the investor in Pink Panda, who's behind the scenes that's helping everything come to life. And that all happened because everything was going wrong in the business. So because I was constantly covering staff, sometimes 4 in one day, it meant that I was back on the tools. And so I was in Sean's garden and he was like, what are you doing here? I was like, oh, I'm staffing and whatnot. And so I shared him the story and he was like, no, what's happened? Like, we've seen you over the years. Your business is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The vans are getting even more impressive. He was like, I've never seen a garden company branded like this. I've never known customer service or an experience like this. What happened? And he was like, you should have 50 vans on the road. Why haven't you got 50 vans on the road and all these people working for you? And we shared a few stories and whatnot. And he was like, look, if you ever want to talk business, I'm here. And I was like, I'll finish the job. I'll go home and I'm back. A couple of days later, we sat and talked and we spent 4.5 hours just sharing anecdotes. So for context, Sean has had 2 major exits, a 7-figure and an 8-figure exit. So has sold companies for millions. And in both those companies had over 100 staff. And what astonished him was when we were sharing stories, it was like things of going to court or things of people quitting, stealing customers, all that kind of thing. And it was kind of like this table tennis of just stories matching. And he was like, what the hell has happened in the last 5 years for you? Like, I've got multiple decades. A lot of that was COVID. It was very roller coastery. But from there, we just started catching up. Every couple of months, once a month, we'd just grab a coffee. Sometimes we'd sit and talk. I think our record was 6 hours or something, just sharing stories and ideas of what we could grow. And he was always curious, would I grow another business? I was like, yeah, I want to grow companies, and addicted to it pretty much. And but things were getting worse. I'm not going to reveal the number actually because my mum's in the audience. But I ended up day trading where the company downscaled the garden company. I ended up day trading. And I often like sharing the figure. I won't share it. But I ended up losing. Mum, cover your ears. So I lost 60 grand in cash. It was actually quite a good thing to happen. But yeah, I wiped that out, lost all of that. And yeah, I actually took a lot of it from my company. So then it had a big tax bill to go with the money that I took. And then I'd done some more things with money that just backfired and went even worse. So I managed to wipe out a huge chunk of cash. So if you want any tips on losing money, I've got a lot. But that happening led to the whole conversations with Sean. And the fact that Sean invested is all because that money was gone and has led to what's happened today and why this whole event's on as well. It was all part of it. It's all part of this journey. And so 18 months ago, Pink Panda was born with the idea of just making content. It's what worked for my business. And I was doing it all manually. This whole process of the relationship, as Rachel mentioned, like when you are meeting clients, what is the step-by-step process from the moment they discover your name and your business to the moment they're buying from you? And I used content in that entire process. But with Pink Panda, as time went on, I learned how it could all be automated if I had people that know how to help me with it. And catching up with Sean, it's then I sat down and went through this business plan I had of what it could look like as a retainer service if we automated the process. And so he had one question, do you want an investor? And I was like, oh, I thought about that. And what it made me think was, well, what would it look like with someone with Sean's experience that's managed hundreds of people? Well, my biggest challenge is managing people, and he's got a lot of experience with that. So that meant I went back to the drawing board and came up with a whole different business plan that went from this to this, and then kind of went like this. And so this is where Pink Panda's got to the point where it is today. So this is where I get to say, yeah, there's not just me that's part of Pink Panda. There's 3 great guys that are going to stand up now and introduce exactly who they are and what they do at Pink Panda. I didn't know that was coming. So, you nervous? Not really. All right, cool.
So yeah, my name's Iggs, guys. I'm the marketing maverick at Pink Panda. My job is to basically help our clients, their plans come into fruition. So helping them with their staffing, partners, and their finding their ideal clients.
My name's David. Basically, I'm the social sourcer here. I basically just get attention and hold the attention from all different ways for different platforms.
I'm Josiah, I'm the web wizard, and I basically get David's attention, or both David's attention, and turn it into action, and the action being acquiring your team clients, and partners.
You can sit back down now. Well done, thank you. So yeah, the whole concept, the main thing is just being helpful, and it's the obsession around people. So that vision you have of what you want to build, who do you need to bring it to fruition, which is what I obsessed over. And it's the clients. I looked at it as a full scope. You need clients, you need a team, and then partners you can collaborate to make the first two even easier. And the way I had a conversation with a guy that's got a facility management company the other day, and he was kind of like, well, I'm old school, I shake people's hands, what's social media got to do with this? And I was like, well, it's not social media, that's a tiny element. And I was like, imagine stepping stones. So you've got step one here, someone learns your business and your name. And then all the way over here, let's use clients as an example. This is where they give you loads of money to go and do the service that you offer. And so what these stepping stones represent is a touch point every time you catch up. So in this chap's example, he was like, oh, I shake their hand and then we get to know each other's name, and that's where it all starts. We go grab a beer with them, then you might bump into them again. They might check out your website, they learn what you do, yada, yada, yada. All these touch points eventually lead to then someone knowing you, liking you, and trusting you enough to give you their hard-earned money to solve the problem that your service solves. So what we look at is what I did in my garden company was, how can I put me here without me being there? And it was all through automated marketing systems in terms of that psychological journey that person's going on to get to know you, to understand the problems that you solve, to become aware of what you can help them with, and then showing them how to solve it, and then showcasing that you're the one to solve the problem for them. So what it means is that whole process, you can actually meet someone at this point, which is what I had with my garden company. So by the time I actually stepped in someone's garden, they're like, oh yeah, this. When can you start? Because we'd already gone through, they'd been so many questions that they had. What plants work in my garden? What soil type I've got? What time of year do I need to do this? What time of year do I need to do that? All of these things, how should my service work? What do we guarantee? All these things attached to their garden, what they wanted. I realized you can just apply it to the more or less any service-based business, so that, as I say, instead of having to meet someone here and go, hi, I'm Hayden, you get to meet them here and they go, oh my God, you're Hayden from Pink Panda. And then leads to a much better result, and applied pretty well to get 3 great people in my team that seem to be having fun working at the company. Hey. So as I said, who will help? It just works with service-based businesses. So trades-based and business professional services, as long as they've got a vision of where they want to go. And the thing that we can really work with is if you're a team of like 3 to 10 and want to become a team of 25. What I want to build a reputation is we make millionaires. Although it's not all about money, but pretty handy if you've got £1 million when you've got to deal with your problems and your stresses and your frustrations, and you've got a team behind you to help the company run in. And it's not just you having to do everything and answer 17 calls. You've got a whole team in place with great clients and partners you collaborate with. And at the core of everything we do, which is what these guys got drilled into them as we was going through the whole recruitment process, is why, and at the core of everything about this company, our guiding principles. The first one, I've probably told everyone in the room, because I remind myself every frigging day, 1 in 400 trillion, somewhere someone decided to do the math and calculate what's the chances that we would exist. And apparently the chances are that you would exist as the exact individual you are, 1 in 400 trillion. So you've won life's lottery. So next time you have a crazy goal and someone says you can't do it. Next, I'm obsessed with efficiencies and trying to do things as streamlined as possible. So I call it the Rubik's Cube phenomena. So any Rubik's Cube, no matter how you mix it up, can always be solved in 21 moves or less. It's referred to as God's number. So I kind of translate that when we're looking at our processes. What is our version of God's number? What is the most efficient way and the smallest steps we can take? Like going back to those stepping stones, what is the most efficient way? What is God's number of getting that client? And the way that we do that, I call it walking the factory line. And it's just a case of the step-by-step process that we all go through, that every member in the team goes through. No matter if you're an apprentice, if you're a director, you have authority to walk the factory line of the step-by-step process we go through and suggest how to improve it. I'd rather have a bad idea and know that you're thinking about it than no idea at all. Because I've stolen this from someone. The best part is no part. The best process is no process. It's just we want to get from where we need to get to and get to there as quick as possible. And the way we do that, make it simple, No more simple than that. And so like as business owners, we have a lot of knowledge of our industry, a lot of complex jargon and nomenclature of what we speak day in, day out. And a lot of it is in your team communicating. Like, and something I have to really learn to do is how do I communicate all the things going on in my brain and translate it into human so that it's understandable and actionable. And that's the same thing when we work with clients, is you can be the expert in what you do, and that journey of getting them to become a client, you can know everything about your industry, but it's about how you take that wisdom and that knowledge and translate it to them in a way that they understand and that it resonates. And then the part D of that is proactive, effective efficiencies. And this is around, it's all well and good obsessing about being efficient. I had this in my garden company where we looked at billing, where we could have 15 customers in one day. And that meant 15 invoices. Amplify that with 2-3 teams, it was a friggin' nightmare. And so I was like, zero automated, like invoices going out, click of a button, brilliant. But I'm still sending all these invoices and chasing all these payments. I was like, well, actually, if I restructure the entire company and turn garden maintenance into a fixed monthly fee, give us your vision of what you want from the garden. Here's your annual plan. You pay a fixed monthly fee. Now we invoice once when we take them on, and the invoice is repeated and they set up a standing order. So that's a much more proactive way to be effective and efficient. And it means it's a better service that's easier to market because it's more outcome focused than just gardener showing up for an hour. Point 3, most important thing to me in the team is purpose and fulfillment. Everyone's got to love what they're doing. And if they're no longer getting that, well, then let's help you get where you need to be. And so, like, it may be that we're a scrappy startup at the moment and we'll become a medium-sized company. And at that point, there probably will be people where it's like, I want to be in a startup. Okay, well, let's help you get there. Have you got one you're starting yourself? Well, let's help you do it. Because I want to make sure that everyone feels that they're fulfilled in what they do and that they're serving a purpose, which means that they're enjoying what they do. Because ultimately, we just want to be helpful. And I've kind of taken that to an extreme obsession. So I've got a 100-year goal. If you want to know what that is, you can ask me about it because it takes a bit long to explain. Yeah. So for our service, the retainer's coming in April. Supposed to come in April, but we had a couple people kicking us to start sooner, so we're doing it in March. And we're rushing around trying to make sure that it's a lot of work. But yeah, so if you're curious, if you're interested, click the dodgy link. Should have planned this and checked. But yeah, all it is just a case of if you're interested, you express your interest on the waiting list, go through, and then we'll just keep you updated with what's going on and get to know your business, get to know your vision. That's the thing I most want to hear, is what is the plan? Where do you want to get to? And I'm going to try and push it and make it bigger. Yeah, and if you want to learn any more, that's a good way to learn. And then the thing that we'll be doing in March, gigs mainly, we're going to be doing workshops. So everything we do and everything I talk about and where we talked about your dream team, your dream clients, dream partners, in March, we're going to be running the workshops that we tested last year, where we'll literally tell you how to do everything that we do, just give you everything. They literally give you every secret, go do it yourself. And if you ever want more help, that's what we're here for. But if you're interested in the workshops, talk to Iggs. He's the man to sort that out. And we'll be catching up with you anyway to just find out about your business and your vision. Other than that, the whole point of that being, like, growing a business is freaking painful a lot of the time and stressful. Like, personally right now, I feel absolutely exhausted because I've spent the entirety of January up at 5 a.m. most days, going to some networking thing to scream about this event, going to a networking event until 9 o'clock in the night. I was at a beer night at 6 o'clock this morning in Bromley. I need to go to bed. But with all of that, growing a business can be painful, but it can also be a lot of fun. And I get to do what I love absolutely every day. And I'm burnt out and exhausted, but I'm enjoying every moment of it, every second of it, because fluff the problems. And as I said, we want to build our reputation on one key thing: we make millionaires and give them a much smoother life in business. Because remember, you're 1 in 400 trillion. And that's it. Thank you so much for coming. Other than that, we've got the place till 9 o'clock, and feel free to mingle, chat, and you've got some great speakers that have spoke. Any questions you've got, pin them down to ask your question before everybody else. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming. It's been fantastic. It's been stressful. I've critiqued myself, but hopefully you've all had fun.